In Washington, President Trump is calling on Republican senators to act on health care after his son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner met with Senate intelligence investigators on his interactions with Russia during the campaign. Both are under pressure as the Trump administration faces new criticism for its difficulty in getting meaningful legislation passed during its first 6 months in office. And the president continues to take to Twitter to rail against what he calls a witch hunt, posting Monday morning, "So why aren't the committees and investigators, and of course our beleaguered AG, looking into crooked Hillary's crimes and Russia relations?" Washington bureau chief of the Intercept, Ryan Grim, is in Washington. All right, Ryan. So President Trump spoke Monday afternoon and challenged Republicans to repeal and replace Obamacare. In a recent article, you wrote that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has run out of excuses for, quote, not accomplishing anything. Tell us more about that.
I mean, the point that I was making is that Mitch McConnell has become this kind of almost mythic figure in Washington. You know, people will say, you know, they'll point to facts that point to a certain conclusion, and then they will say, but it's Mitch McConnell. You can never count Mitch McConnell out. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is actually it's time to start actually looking at the evidence and the facts here. The evidence right now is that, you know, he just simply does not have the votes for either outright repealing Obamacare or repealing and replacing it. And there is no magic that this mythical figure of Mitch McConnell can pull out of a hat to make it happen. And the separate point, which is related, that I try to make, is that when Mitch McConnell took over his leadership position, it was in January 2007. It was the moment that it stopped mattering. You know, Republicans were in the minority in the Senate, even though Bush was still president. Then President Obama was in power for the next 8 years after that, and McConnell considered himself an opposition figure. And so he has never been challenged with the task of actually governing, and that's becoming evident now. So it's time for people to kind of reorient their thinking about Mitch McConnell's myth-making.
What about the president? He used the occasion of the Boy Scout Jamboree on Monday to rail against so-called fake news, even joked about firing Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price, who was standing right there, if he can't get Republicans to vote for the health care bill. What do you make of the fact, Ryan, that he used that particular setting to make those points, and also that he wasn't on the road promoting health care repeal sooner?
Right. I mean, Donald Trump is not somebody who cares about the setting that he's in. Mm-hmm. He's not somebody who cares about what's appropriate to do or not. I mean, it would be difficult to try to conjure an analogy that is more absurd than going before the Boy Scouts and delivering a partisan speech. And here he is. His political instincts are also, are, as we saw in the campaign, quite good, but his execution bizarre. You know, Shelley Moore Capito, West Virginia senator, has already said that she's against this bill. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so your listeners understand that means it's finished. Collins is against it. Shelley Moore Capito is against it.
But
John
he's there
McCain
to
won't
apply
be
political
there.
pressure, no? I mean, West Virginia and this Boy Scout Jamboree is not just a coincidence.
If you're going to apply political pressure, do it before she has publicly come out and said she's going to oppose it.
Timing's everything, yeah.
Right. What do you do? Why are you doing it now? It's just
because maybe it's not too late. He's thinking, or his advisors are thinking.
Sure, well, clearly he thinks that there's still some chance. But if you know, Shelley Moore, over the weekend, she put out a statement that said, look, Donald Trump agrees with me that this bill, doesn't protect West Virginians. And, so she's doing this very clever thing that because Trump doesn't understand what's in the bill, she spoke to him privately, got him to agree with her that the bill was mean, as he said before, and is now using him and his ignorance about what's in the bill as her shield politically back in West Virginia. She's going to tell all her voters, look, yes, I voted for the motion to proceed, but Trump agreed with me. This is not a good bill for West Virginia right now, so that's why I voted against it. And the joke is on Trump, because there he is in West Virginia, belatedly kind of trying to put pressure on the person who's using him to vote against it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how his visit is sort of received and digested by people there in West Virginia. All right, let's talk about Jared Kushner. Following his testimony Monday, both Donald Trump Jr. and Paul Manafort will testify before the committee in a closed session this week. What can we expect from that?
Oh, it'll be fun.
But we won't know about it. I mean, exactly what's being said.
Oh, and there'll be an open session later. So that's going to be even more fun. It's just it's a circus up there on Capitol Hill, and you're going to have calls that more of it be made public, and you're going to continue to see this kind of drip, and you'll see the same things that Kushner said today. This was. This is a meeting I didn't really want to get. I didn't want to be there anyway. Although why would three of the most important people in the campaign show up for a meeting that they didn't think was going to be useful? Clearly, I think they thought it was going to be useful, and then once it wasn't, then they wanted to get out of it. And you're going to see a lot of the lawyerly talk, like as you played Kushner saying that he doesn't rely on Russian financing in his business. And Senator Ron Wyden today in an interview said, pointed to that in particular as one of the more lawyerly words out there. What does it mean you don't rely on it? What is relied? So you only get 90%, and so you don't get all 100, or it's 10%. What is it? It's just it's a word that kind of distracts.
Let me ask you about the Democrats. So in Virginia Monday, Democrats launched a rebranding effort for the party. And Ryan, I want to play some sound from Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Take a listen.
When you lose elections, as we did in 2014 and 2016, you don't flinch. You don't blink. You look in the mirror and ask, what did we do wrong? The number one thing we did wrong is not present a strong, bold economic agenda to working Americans so that their hope for the future might return again. Democrats have too often hesitated.
All right. So, Ryan, how would you assess the effort here on the part of Democrats to sort of relaunch or rebrand themselves? Are they truly inspiring some change here, or potentially offering that to folks, or are they just positioning themselves as not Donald Trump?
Well, this is different. This is, because you know what it looks like when Democrats go with the "we're not Donald Trump" move. They did that all the way through the campaign, and that sound you heard was Schumer throwing Hillary Clinton under the bus there. You know what it looks like when Democrats just use Russia and James Comey over and over and over to explain the election loss and just talk about Donald Trump. So we do know what that looks like. And this is different. Now, do they mean it? Are they serious?
And are Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, Ryan, you think perhaps the best messengers when it comes to the message of change?
No. On the other hand, they are politicians, and so they are vessels for the energy that is going to drive them to power. So, if they think that the Sanders wing and the Warren wing of the party is the direction that they need to go to get the energy and the enthusiasm to be able to take the House back, they're going to go there. No, these are not conviction politicians, and Chuck Schumer didn't all of a sudden decide that he's going to be, an anti-monopoly populist. But if he thinks that that's going to be the thing that makes him Senate Majority Leader, then he will happily carry the banner for Medicare for all, and that's what these types of politicians do.
All right. We'll continue to watch it all. Ryan Grimm of The Intercept. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.